I would say let's hold the bull by the horn. Let's go with the most toughest questions that you would have in this regard. My whole decision-making process is now based on that one experience. Oversimplifying the equation. In 1978, my uncle traveled to Dubai and he told me, "Beta, Dubai is a bubble." How many people actually know that there is a bubble index? And Dubai is the greenest place on that index.
Hello, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, whatever time you're getting to watch this piece of content. Today is a takeover of Capella Properties by myself, Asad Creates. Agenda for this conversation is trying to understand the consumer sentiment in the market, because the consumer sentiment is what drives their behavior, and that behavior then drives, lack of a better phrase, revenue for you.
Yes.
Customer behavior about what they want, what's making them invest and buy property in Dubai, what's making them not invest and buy property in Dubai. And we're kind of focusing today on both angles. We're focusing on their dreams. So from a positive, let's put in a positive side of things. We're talking about their dreams and their desires, how people see their, whether it's about lifestyle, whether it's about wealth building, whether it's about building generational
Generational
all of
wealth.
these
Yeah,
things.
exactly.
Or on the negative side, what are their fears? What stops them? What are people? Are there any frustrations that people are going through that where they have dealt with the process of buying property but got burnt or had a bad experience, so are not doing it again, even though they see that the market is doing well, that there's a lot of opportunities. What would you like us to go into first? Would you like us to go into the positive side of things or the slightly tougher?
I would say let's hold the bull by the horn
Well, I like that.
and let's go with the most toughest questions that you would have in this regard, and we'll build up from there. The only thing I would add is, over a period of time, what I've seen in Dubai is a lot of people are going ahead with the aspirational purchases.
Okay.
Because they want to cash in on the Dubai lifestyle as early as possible. They would like to come here, settle down, have families here, raise their families here. So getting on board the Dubai lifestyle and aspirational purchases have gone up in all segments of the society. Starting from your watch, starting from your car, your property that you invest in, your investments overall, we see a lot of aspirational purchases.
So you're saying that the lifestyle is driving a lot of the consumer behavior
Yes.
in all sorts of...
Yeah, in your overall lifestyle, that's what we see.
So obviously we've put together a list of things that will guide us through this conversation. We wanted to sort of stay in a certain lane. We talk about fears in a way, talk about dreams in a way. So in what we've written down here, I'm quite interested to know that people, it's true that people fear property scams, and like we're talking about things that make people afraid of getting
Based
into.
on their original experiences. Now, their experiences may or may not be limited to Dubai. Their experiences may be coming from their own home country.
Okay.
So they must have made a purchase or heard stories about making a purchase either in Dubai or in Sharjah or Ajman. Sharjah, I would not say, or Ajman or somewhere else. Or, for example, somebody coming from Pakistan. They must have purchased something in Karachi, Lahore, Islamabad, other cities of the country. And that derives their knowledge base. That's the fear they come up with. Okay, my uncle bought a property in Pakistan and this happened to him. Or my uncle bought a property in Dubai in Lord's year of some time back, and this is what happened to him. So my whole decision making process is now based on that one experience, which I think is oversimplifying the equation
Yeah.
and not giving due diligence and due weightage to the overall situation.
So are you saying people who use this as a quote unquote excuse, do you think they're not serious anyway, or or is there some legitimacy in, let's talk about Dubai only, because Dubai's market is about 23 years old.
50% of the people, they give the expression, "Arey, Dubai ko chodo yaar. Dubai is a bubble."
Right.
How? How many people actually know that there is a bubble index? And Dubai is the greenest place on that index, where you have a red zone, you have an orange zone, you have a yellow zone, and you have a green zone. And if you are less than, there is ratios, there are derivatives there, and if you are below 0.5%, that means that is a very safe place to invest. Dubai is one of the safest place to invest, not as per my report, but as per this, which is a global phenomena, which comprises of majority of the areas across the globe where people invest in property. And I asked them, have you read that report? That is being issued in Zurich. Have you ever gone through that report? No. Do you know the GDP here? Do you know the growth, the potential, the 5-year plan, the 10-year plan, the 20-year plan that Dubai government has? Not only initiated, not only on paper, but we see a physical manifestation every day. Are you aware of it? No, I'm not. So
That's what they say.
That's what they say. No, I'm not aware of it. My derivative of this is my uncle told me that Dubai is a bubble.
So
has he
their
traveled?
experiences, yeah.
Has he been to Dubai? Yeah, he traveled to Dubai in 1978. In 1978, my uncle traveled to Dubai and he told me, "Beta, Dubai is a bubble." Okay, what has manifested after that? Are there any global events worth recognizing?
I slightly would just interject in the middle to say that I think a lot of the skepticism is also coming from the first boom, 2005 to 2000, until
2005
the
to
crash,
2008.
right?
2008, the crash happened. Agreed? Okay. Was that a local event? People who went to Wall Street that morning, they came back on foot. They went in their luxury cars, they were going there in helicopters, and they came back on foot or in the subway. So do you think that was a local event that is only limited to Dubai? That economic meltdown was global. Are people aware of this factor? Oh, 2008, Dubai collapsed. Okay, I understand. In 1945, 2 cities of Japan collapsed. Where is Japan now? So can you now quote 1945? Oh, we are not going to invest in these companies like Sony or Nakamichi or all the Japanese brands, that because in 1945 they collapsed. They lost a war. So are your now decisions going to be based on that 1945 event, or have you actually moved on and have new data, and your assumptions and your calculations are going to be based on this newly available data?
Talk to me about the newly available data. What kind of time frame are you putting that in? What kind of a time window are you putting that in? That this is you should look at the data of the last.
Every year, there are multiple reports. The Knight Frank report. There are 101 other reports. Property Finder issues a report. Bayut issues a report. Dubai government issues a report. Dubai Land Department issues a report. Not only the regional reports. Now, if you talk about Knight Frank report, That's not only limited to this place. That's a global report. Now, if you dissect all those reports and correlate them, do you see the data matching? Yes. Is there a disparity? If there is a disparity in data, few of the reports are telling that yes, this is an amazing place to invest, and few of the reports are telling you no, that's not correct. Then you have a dichotomy. Then you actually go ahead and refine that, and then you review that, and then you see it in detail. So is there a disparity in the data? I don't think, and I have not seen a report with a disparity in it. So if there's no disparity in that data and everything correlates, then you see a gradual increase. I'm an ardent fan of the swoosh of Nike. The incremental growth has to be steady, has to be incremental, and has to be sustainable. Is Dubai offering that right now?
Certainly.
Certainly. You will agree with that, right?
Yeah.
So now, if you're going to come to me and say, I don't believe that data, I would believe my uncle who was sitting in some part of, I don't know, back in India or Pakistan, and who traveled to India, from India or from Pakistan to Dubai in 1978 and saw Dubai in 1978, and that's a mental picture he has, and that's a mental picture which is still prevalent in that community, in that family. What can
basically, the skeptics are looking at outdated data/opinions. That's what they're basing their approach on, which is not a good idea.
You see, people have fear, but are you sharing your fears with me so that I might come up with my own logic? And if the logic prevails, are you ready to listen to my side of the story, or are you going to stick to your verdict?
Sure.
If people are going to stick to their verdict, then it's perfectly fine.
I'm quite interested in market stability and volatility. So market stability, when people fear market stability, so many things going on in the market. Crypto comes in, then looks like it's crashing. Obviously it's not, gold market stability, this, that, stock market. How much of that should dictate people's decision when it comes to property? Market stability and volatility. First of all,
there are two dynamics to it.
Yeah, get into it.
The first is the local stability, and the second is the regional stability. The third is the global stability.
Right.
I'll give you an example of this pandemic of COVID-19. That was a global event, right? So when you have global events, they affect you differently. When you have, for example, wars within the region, not within the country, within the region, they affect you in a certain different manner, like the supply of crude oil, like the supply of other things, natural gas, other commodities which are being shipped globally via that channel. Or if you have internally displaced people, how are you going to deal with it as a neighboring country? The third is within the country or within the state of Dubai. So now there are three segments. I think COVID-19 showed us that Dubai was one of the most prepared, well-organized, well-augmented cities to live in.
Because it handled the first hurdle really well.
Really, really well. I can quote you. For
A
example,
global crisis, when it filters down to local crisis, well, first you manage your local crisis, and then so they handle the local crisis really well.
Even if the pandemic happened on a global scale, you know how many...
It affected everyone
It
locally.
affected everyone globally.
And
Now,
locally as well, right? So
locally and
your
globally.
own-
So it will
in your
trickle
own
down
house.
in your own house, in your own community. in your own neighborhood, in your own city. But do you know any? I'll give you a very basic example. Do you know any superstores or your stores that provide you your groceries? They ever ran out of milk or basic necessities or fruits, or for that matter, were they made available to the general public? Yes. Did you have a water shortage? No, you did not. Did you have electricity blackouts because of lack of maintenance? No, you did not. Do you think the same situation was prevalent in rest of the world? You can take the example of New York. Do you think New York has infrastructure? New York has one of the biggest infrastructure in the world. Central London has one of the biggest infrastructures there. Do you think those infrastructures were stretched to the brim? Now, your counter argument can be that yes, look at the population difference of New York,
Three and
look
a
at the
half.
population difference of London, and look at the
Three and a half
population of.
to 8.4, 8.5 in New York.
I completely
Somebody can
agree.
say, okay, oh, well, it's
yeah,
because it's a small
it's
area.
But, yes, but the infrastructure is developed for this small area.
Right.
You see, if your supply chain is again designed, and then it's just based on the volume. So if you have 100% sustainable environment for 3.5 million or 3.6 million people, and then you very diligently plan and expand, then do you think we will have another, if God forbid there is another global meltdown or something like that happens, do you think that will have more adverse effect here or globally elsewhere? So from that perspective, again, then I would really like to appreciate the policies of this government as far as the involvement in the local conflicts or the international conflicts or the regional conflicts are the way. Do you think as real estate people we are just ignorant about those? No. Because if one of my investor comes from US and he wants to invest here and he watches CNBC or global news every day, he's aware of that and he will ask me, Asim, what do you think this war here or that conflict there is going to affect, and that's going to derive the market here? What trickle down effects can you expect in Dubai? So I think the job of a real estate consultant, not somebody who's just selling because some new project of XYZ developer came, but you're going to manage their funds and you're going to make sure that they have the necessary amount of information in order to arrive to that right conclusion. The 571 billionaires just in 2023 that came to Dubai, and they are making Dubai their home. Why is that? Do you think they are ignorant about the global events? But the world over scenario that is developing tells us that yes, Dubai, hard facts, is one of the best places to live, raise a family, safe, secure, environmentally friendly. All the new technologies are being adapted. The government is very cognizant of whatever is happening across the globe, and they inculcate all those things into their dynamics and their policies.
Legal disputes, property disputes, is that something you've had to deal with?
Yes.
You personally have had to deal with either for yourself or your client?
I had to deal with legal disputes. Not legal disputes are not to that level that you would consider and in other countries. The first thing, the system is very well defined. So there's a rental dispute center. Now that rental dispute center is directly catering to all the queries and disputes that may arise between a landlord and a tenant. Now, apart from that, if you're a Muslim, then how your property is going to be distributed after your death is well defined. Otherwise, you can have a will. that will can be registered in DIFC. Everything is very structured. You have these things that have been placed, systems, processes, procedures have been developed, have been refined, and have been implemented, have been tweaked. So you understand all that, because there are 4 steps to it. Have they been cognizant that yes, there are multiple people coming from across the globe? There are around 150 nationalities, give or take a few. Now, 150 nationalities are investing in Dubai. There must be a structure, a legal structure, a legal framework which will take care of all those people. So you have processes developed, enforced, implemented, refined, tweaked, streamlined. Then again, continuous feedback. It's a system of continual feedback. They freeze and freeze the process. I think this is one of the best examples of Kaizen principle. Freeze and freeze. They implement, they see the results, they tweak, freeze and freeze, and that's how the system is refined. And I have not seen in my more than a decade of operation in Dubai that a legal dispute of any manner with respect to real estate has risen and has not been resolved.
That's a tall claim.
Yeah.
Anybody looking at this would say that's a tall claim.
Okay, I have facts and figures too. In my humble opinion, in my experience, I'm talking about my experience of what if the developer runs away? Now, do you have escrow accounts? Yes. Do you know that the developer has to put in certain amount of money in that escrow account? It is going to take time. I'm not saying it's they have a magic wand and it's going to be, everything is going to be streamlined the next morning. You're talking about a legal system.
We can go into that because escrow account,
a tooth fairy that you put 2 teeth under the pillow and then next morning you wake up.
If the developer vanishes, the money stays in the escrow account. It doesn't come back into your pocket. So that's a different episode. I think it's very important to go in detail of that separately of what.
So people need to understand what actually happens in the systems and processes and procedures. So again, I am one of the ardent believers of this philosophy that the amount of time you're going to invest in selecting a property, in looking at areas and looking at these projects, half of the amount please spend on the people you're going to work with. Because if they are professionally competent, if they know about their stuff, then what they're going to do is they're going to add value. And that value addition is very much necessary. You know, when everything goes fine, people say, oh, I have not involved a property consultant. My deal went through. It went perfectly fine. So what if that did not go through properly? What if you had issues in payments? What if you had issues in selecting that property, or the buyer had issues, or the seller had issues, or the developer was not willing to give an NOC? Or what if you had a tenant there that was not ready to vacate that property? You know, there are 101 issues that can happen. I have known a lot of tenants who have said, okay, when the transfer of property takes place, I'm going to vacate that. I'm going to vacate in 2 months because my contract is ending. Do people actually know that when they sell the property, your tenancy contract becomes null and void because now legally you are no more the landlord of that property. You're not the owner of that property. So the legal contract, the ijari between you as a owner of that property and your tenant becomes null and void.